Hello everybody and welcome to all of you worldwide that today gather to listen to a webcast on the right technical choice for a reliable smartphone supply chain, powered by System Plus Consulting and supported by iMicronews and the China International Optoelectronic Expo, also called CIOE. I am Julie Robert, Marketing and Project Manager for your group of companies. To shortly introduce you, System Plus Consulting, we are part of the your group of companies and we are specialized in the cost analysis of electronics from semiconductor device to electronic system. The company has developed a complete range of services, costing tools, and reports to deliver in-depth production cost study and estimate the objective selling price. Back to this event, let me give you some basic information on this online event. Our session today will last about 45 minutes, during which Romain Fro, CEO of System Plus Consulting, will first talk on the evolution of the smartphone industry and compare two US-based smartphone manufacturers, Apple and Blue. Jim Mielke, VP Consumer Teardowns of System Plus Consulting, will follow with a presentation on the teardowns of the smartphone realized. Finally, we will finish with a Q&A session. Before we get started, I remind you that you are encouraged to submit questions to our speakers during all the live event using the Q&A window at the bottom of the screen. Questions will be answered at the end of the session. We will answer as many questions as we can today, and the remaining questions will be answered through emails. Concerning the materials, please note that the presentation is already available and downloadable in the resource section of the platform. Within 24 hours, you will receive an email with a link to the recorded webcast session. So let's start the webcast. Romain, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Julie. Hello, everyone. I'm Romain Fro, CEO of System Plus Consulting, and I'm very pleased to be here for this live session, where I will be able to present you some of our latest research we've made on the smartphone market. Just a brief introduction about our product and services. So System Plus Consulting is publishing many research material on the semiconductor field of components. So we are publishing reports, around 60 reports per year, covering deep dive analysis of a lot of different kinds of semiconductor chips. We are also publishing quarterly monitors, so 4 quarters during the years, based on our latest research on the smartphone supply chain and markets. We have also weekly tracks, so it's a teardown of more than 200 products which are published every year. And then our talk today will be to show you our latest highlight and insights based on these two products, so the monitors and the teardown tracks. Of course, we are really open to realize a custom analysis. So we are publishing more than 150 custom projects every year based on different customer demands on a lot of semiconductor type of components and system. So let me just introduce you our new product called the Smartphone Design Win Monitor. So we decided to publish this monitor firstly this year in order to be enabled to highlight what is really going on in the smartphone market. So you are all very concerned of the smartphone supply chain, in more generally about the semiconductor supply chain, because there is a lot of tension currently. And clearly this kind of service can be a very good help in order to be enabled for you to understand deeply who is producing which kind of components, who is integrating specific kind of devices, and how it evolves among the months and the years. So this monitor is constructing based on real data from all of the teardowns we are publishing every week. We decided to make a list of representative phones in order to be able to analyze. So every quarter we analyze deeply 8 phones in order to be part of this service. But of course we have tier down data available for much more than product in order to fulfill all of the detail of the consumer markets. In order to be representative, we select phones which are sold among the top in terms of units, which means that we usually take market share in order to be really accurate in our data and to have a good representation about the market. Based on that, we are offering the possibility to a customer to navigate in all of this data based on dynamic access online in order to be able to have a complete understanding about the different level in terms of component integration. So we are covering IC level, so I will detail a little bit more in detail in the next slide, up to the packaging level and the semiconductor die level in order to really understand the choice which are made by the different OEM and component provider in this market. So all of these data are available online. We are supporting that with some PDF slide decks, and with all of our quarterly deliverable, you have a full access to the analysts in order to discuss in real time and being able to understand all of the different details which are covered in the product. So this dashboard is available online 24 hours per day, and you have also the possibility to download the content in an Excel format or to have access to PDF information. So just as an example here, I will highlight some results we obtain with a quarter of this monitor. So you have here some example of phones which has been used to compute this data. And then on the second time, so Jim will be able to show you more in detail what are inside some of these products. We decided for this specific event to highlight 2 producers, so two phone makers, Apple and Blue. Just because they are 2 US-based company with a very different business model and very different supply chain, so we really thought that it makes sense to put that in a comparison. So very quick information about this information about this monitor. So it's an example of information we can easily extract and which are displayed on the PDF slide. But of course, it's possible to navigate more dynamically by using the online interface. So based on these 8 smartphones, we have, as we can see on the slide here, very different chipsets with 5 vendors here, including Apple, iSilicon, MediaTek, Qualcomm, and Samsung. So here we highlight the packaging level, so showing how the size of the package look like at the board level, and what is the die size of every application processor in order to understand the evolution, to understand the technology node integration, and then also the final cost, which it's a direct link between the size and the technology integration. So clearly here we can see that, for example, the latest application processor from Samsung is having the larger package size, but also the larger die size. It's made on a 5 nanometer process, which is the same process used by Apple since A14. So we can see that Samsung is having larger die size compared to Apple, which is something not new, in fact. So when we compare for the same technology nodes, usually Apple is having a smaller die size compared to Samsung, which gives some kind also of added value in terms of a cost structure. Other kind of data which could be easily extracted is to being able to follow some key markets. RF is something which is very critical at the moment. It takes more and more die size, more and more die consumption in a phone, especially linked to the new 5G integration. Inside this quarter, based on the 8 phones, we can see that we have very different kind of compatibility. So we have mostly 5G phones, so 7 5G phones and only 1 phone, so the blue phones, which is only 4G compatible. And among our 5G model, we can see that we have 4 models with sub-6 compatibility and 3 models with 5G millimeter wave. So we can clearly see that the difference in terms of the semiconductor integration is important. We have much more die consumption, much more silicon consumption for 5G millimeter wave, and then it have a big impact in terms of cost of the phone at the end, clearly, and also technology choice in terms of component manufacturer choice, because not all of the providers are able to supply 5G millimeter wave components. And we will see just after that there is clearly one company here which is leading, and it is Qualcomm. But we really think that more companies will also follow to this trend. Another interesting approach of the monitor is to be able to track the evolution per OEM. So here you have evolution of Huawei in terms of component integration. So we are showing the die area evolution inside Huawei phone for the P and Mate series, starting from the Mate 10 and then the P20, Mate 20, and so on. The main interest here is not to show who is supplying Huawei, but here to show the country of origin of the component inside Huawei phones. What we can observe here is that clearly Chinese providers, so majorly HiSilicon for Huawei, are very stable in terms of evolution, which is not the case from US providers. So in the past, and here starting for the Mate 10, but it was the same trend in the past, we can see that component from US was really used in Huawei phone, which is not the case since the Mate 20. Since the Mate 20, Huawei decided to really to reduce US-based components. So here again, we are talking about real die, real semiconductor components, in order to replace that with other provider. We can observe that it's not possible to remove completely US provider in Huawei phones, and we still have a lot of other players providing Huawei, and mostly 2 other countries, Japan and Korea, for different type of components. So we observe different effects here. We have some peaks in the evolution, which are only linked to the memory supplier used by the Huawei phone. So as you can see here, it's Korea or Japan can both provide memory content. So it's really a matter of choice between Toshiba and Samsung for the flash non-memory. And memory content usually represents a very big part of the semiconductor content in the phones, which explains these big peaks here on the graphics. So it's one of the key added value of the monitor. It's to quickly being able to monitor to see how it's evolved in terms of integration linked to the semiconductor content in the different phones. If we come back to the result of the Q2 of 2021, we are also able to make a ranking of who is providing most of the components in the phones. So here we are tracking the design wins, which mean the number of package level component integrated inside the product. What we can observe here is that Qualcomm is leading. It's also a trend which is continuing from the past quarters. So we have Qualcomm leading with almost 16% in terms of units of the component provided in our monitor. what we can observe here is that most of these components are the processor. So Qualcomm is supplying many application processor with a Snapdragon to different OEM, but also with RF component and power management IC. If we use the same information, so the design win, but now not per vendor, but per nationality, we obtain what we just saw with the Huawei evolution. But here it's the result of the data for the Q2 of this one. We can see that US is also driving the market here, with almost 42% of the design win coming from company based in US. So what we call a nationality here, it's really the country of the headquarters of the component. It's not the country of manufacturing. So the main player based on this analysis are Qualcomm, Qorvo, Skyworks, Broadcom. So a lot of components provided for the RF part of the phones, but also on semiconductors, Texas Instruments, and Cirrus Logic. So clearly there are many more providers. It's only here the main providers, but we can see that it's almost half of the share of the design win in units which are provided by US company. The number of design win, it's not a good representation about the value. So it do not mean that 42% of the value of the phones is owned by US provider. It's only here in units. But you have a small component representing a low value and a large component representing high value. So that's why with this monitor, we are also looking to the package level and to the semiconductor level in order to have a better representation about the real value inside the different smartphones. So it's clearly what is explained in this slide now. You have the result of the Q2 based on the provider per die area. So here it's not anymore in units. So we are measuring for every phones we analyze the real consumption in terms of semiconductor. So we are measuring every die size integrated in a phone in order to be able to calculate what is the consumption of die per manufacturer. So what we can observe here is that the results are a little bit different compared to the design win. So here, clearly for the Q2, based on the phones we analyzed, we have a very big share of the silicon consumption, which is owned by Samsung. One key reason for that is that Samsung is providing many different components, including memory, and memory is consuming a lot of silicon, a lot of die size in phones, especially with phones now which are up to 512 gigabytes of flash memory and up to 12 gigabytes of RAM memories. But Samsung is also providing application processors, power management ICs, sensors, CMOS image sensors. So at the end, it explains also this large consumption. Then we have a lot of different players, clearly, which are part of this ranking. And we can observe that from one quarter to another, it changes a little bit, but the trend still stays similar. It, of course, depends on the link to the smartphone we analyze. So we really take care about using relevant smartphones and representative smartphones in order to have a good representation about the market inside this monitor. Based on this analysis, we are also able to really to go in detail inside the repartition, inside the breakdown of this semiconductor content. So on the left side of the screen here, you can see that we had a breakdown of this total consumption of die area per wafer size. So we divided between the three main wafer size, so 6-inch, 150 millimeter, 8-inch, 200 millimeter, and 12-inch, 300 millimeter wafer size. We can observe that here most of the area inside the phone is made on 12-inch wafer. So 12-inch wafer usually starts starting the 90 nanometer technology node and up to now the 5 nanometer technology node for the latest application processors. On the right side of the screen here, you have the same breakdown, but here per technology node, showing which node are driving also this consumption. So we can here see that a big part of the share is linked to what we call leading edge technologies, which are in between 14 nanometer and 5 nanometer technology node. And then you still have a lot of legacy technologies from the 28 nanometer nodes up to some technologies which are in a 0.5 micron or even more. They are still in production, and we can see that it represents still a very big part of the market. So we had a lot of buzz about building new leading edge fabs and so on, but clearly we can see that there is still a big part of the technologies inside phones, which are legacy technologies. And most of the sensors, the power management ICs are really using these technologies and will continue to use this technology for a long time. Based on this measurement with die size, we can make some exercise in order to understand how many wafers are necessary to supply the smartphone industry. So as soon as we can measure the real content in die, in semiconductor in the phones, if we take the shipment, the unit shipment in front of that, so for example, in Q2, we estimate that it was around 340 million units of smartphones shipped per quarter. We can associate with that how many wafers are necessary. So how many wafers per wafer size, for example. We calculated that it's around 200,000 6-inch wafer which are used to supply this smartphone market, and more than 5 million units of 12-inch wafer which are used. And then we can also do the same exercise per technology node in order to understand clearly how many wafers are necessary to supply this smartphone market. So these calculations are not so easy to calculate. So first you need to have the real die size, and then also we take some model into account in order to estimate the yields and how many good wafer really need to be supplied to the industry. We can do that up to the material level. So it's really something interesting. Also here, we can see that inside this quarter, we estimated that around 92% of the dies in a phone are made based on silicon wafer. But you have around 8% of the real semiconductor content which are not based on silicon. So it includes SOI, it includes some ceramic material for filter, for example, with LTLN, some compound material, 3.5, for example, for power amplifier, and also some other kind of material for integrated passive devices. So based on this analysis, we are able to estimate how many wafers on specific materials are used in order to supply this smartphone industry. So it gives very accurate information, clearly for company providing such wafers, but also for the complete industry. So just to continue on this monitor data and to show also what we can do with such information, we really think it was interesting to compare two phone makers. So usually you have a lot of comparison between Apple, Samsung, Huawei, or other providers. So for this quarter, we thought it was quite interesting to compare Apple with Blue. So Blue, it's maybe known in America, in US, but I think in America, not so much in the rest of the world. So it's a US-based company, privately owned, based in Miami, which is providing a lot of different range of phones. So there is a plus 60 phones in the catalog. Usually they release between 20 or 30 different phones a year. So it's a very different business model compared to Apple, which is producing and releasing 3 phones in a year around. Clearly, they are highlighting the fact that they're providing affordable phones. So in terms of price, it's completely different. So we have phones starting at $50 up to $200, something like that. But clearly insisting about the affordability, the inexpensive phones capability, still by keeping clearly some good power capability and good computing, and with some kind of good fashion of the product at the end. So we decided to compare two models, so the iPhone 12 with the Blue G90. So clearly the competition is not fair in terms of computing power. We have two different choice, but we'll see that with this monitor, it's something which is very easy to make some comparison and to understand the different choice which are made by both players. So you have some very key specs of two phones. They are sharing almost the same size. They have been released almost at the same time, but you can see that the chipset on one side, it's powered by the latest 5nm CPU from Apple, and Blue is still using some legacy or advanced technology from MediaTek, but not the latest one. In terms of memory content, they are sharing the exact same content, so 4 GB of RAM memory, 64 GB of flash NAND memory. The iPhone 12 that we analyzed is the US version, so it's having a 5G mmWave compatibility, and Blue is only proposing 4G compatibility. So if we start comparing the bill of material and the cost induced by the main elements. So you have here a comparison about what we call the EBOM, the electronic bill of material content in the phone. So it do not include all of the mechanical content, the battery, the display. So it's only all of the electronic parts, all of the semiconductor components in the phones. So you have on the left side of the graph the cost of the iPhone 12. So here we estimated that a little bit more than $180 only for the components level. So here we talk about the cost. It's not clearly not the price on the market. And for the Blue model, we calculated that the total cost is below $60 for the full electronic content. The main part where you can see that there is a huge difference is all of the RF and connectivity parts and all of the computing, so linked to the application processor and the baseband of the phones. So you have on one side Apple, which is introducing 5G mmWave, Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5, NFC, ultra-wideband, and so on. And all of that at the end, we estimated that it costs $61 to produce. And Blue is clearly only proposing some few compatibility for the band, and at the end it's only $7 for the full connectivity and RF for this phone. For the application processor part, we can see also here that the comparison is really different. So on one side, Apple with the A14 is having the latest technology introduction, so 5nm from TSMC. They are also having a specific modem from Qualcomm, the Snapdragon X55. So all of that means that in terms of cost, we calculated it's around $56 to implement in the phones. Blue is integrating a MediaTek chipset, not the latest one, clearly, and this chipset is estimated to $9. So clearly two different choices which give different results at the end. In terms of other content, so we can see that they are using the same amount of memory. So Blue managed to use a combo chip for the memory, mixing DRAM and NAND, but clearly the cost at the end is really similar for both solutions. In terms of sensor, we have a difference because Apple is introducing more sensors like Face ID and leading edge camera also, but the difference in terms of cost is not so huge. And finally, also you have some difference in terms of audio and power management because you have much more functionality and capability for an iPhone compared to the Blue phones. So we can see that here we have two different phones sharing a complete different BOM structure in terms of cost. And now we'll see more in detail why we have such difference and how clearly we can observe that in terms of component choice and provider. So if we take a look at the number of components integrated in both phones, we can see that Apple is having 100 of package count, so of component count in the phone compared to 57 for Blue, so very big difference. And also the providers in terms of units per country are really different. So Apple is using most of the components from US company, so with an headquarters based in US, which is not the case for Blue. As you can see here, most of the components come from Taiwan, China, so in terms of units, Korea, Germany, and UK as well. Again, here we are talking about units of components. So you have a lot of small components for RF, for example, like filters, and it takes a lot of component count. It do not have a big impact on the value, on the cost, but in terms of component unit, it could be important. Clearly, the players, the providers supplying Apple are leading edge player like Qorvo, Broadcom, Skyworks, TI, STMicroelectronics, Qualcomm, and very different player providing a component to Blue, like ACT in UK, Whistle, MediaTek, Awinic, Lensus, and TDK, for example. Just to finish the comparison, and now to take a look at the semiconductor content, so the silicon and the silicon die size in both phones, we can observe that the die count is also really different on the two phones. So you have 220 and 33 dies inside the iPhone 12 compared to 89 dies in the Blue phones. The total die area clearly are also different. And if we put side by side the comparison in terms of value, we can see that just the content in US dies inside the iPhone is more than the full content of dies inside the Blue phones. We can also see that even if US providers were not important in terms of units inside the Blue phones, they are still representative more than half, in fact, of the content in terms of semiconductor, and it's clearly here because the memory comes from Micron, both RAM and flash memory, which is having more than 0.5% of the silicon area inside the Blue phones. So now I will give the hand to Jim because he will be able to show you clearly more in details what we can find in these phones based on the teardown we are doing on a weekly basis.
Thank you, Romain. First of all, I want to say how happy I am to see this new monitor product because we have been tearing down phones for 10 years now, doing detailed pictures of every step of the teardown process, of the components coming out, anything with 8 pins or more, we would fully dissect down to the die level, get die pictures, and doing very good for the technical community to see exactly how the phones are built and how the things are put together. But what we were missing is for the strategic and marketing people is how all of these things fit together as a bigger picture. You could do it with the teardown service, but you'd have to extract one product or 2 products at a time to get that. So very happy to see this as an accompanying product with our teardowns. But there's also some value added in the teardowns yet for supply chain. And I wanted to show some of the examples of where that would come in. I'm not going to use PowerPoint. I'm going to actually go to our website, and I will show, we'll take the 2 phones that Romain highlighted. Start off with the iPhone. And we'll contrast it with the Blue 90. So after I select the iPhone, the teardown for the iPhone comes up. Then we go to the G90 from Blue. And what you'll have is for the supply chain, it's not so important to see the detailed teardowns and the X-rays and so on and how it's put together. Even the board tabs with the area layout of the different components, probably a little less important other than conformal coatings and underfills that you might see in these slant views, but a little less for the supply chain. Where it starts to become interesting between the two is seeing visualization of some of the stuff that does come out in the monitor. One, here's the iPhone block diagram. You can see pretty much all the details here as to what sensors, what memory, what processors, how the chipset is actually divided. One of the distinctions between the two that was selected here is a separate apps processor and a modem. In addition, the memory is broken up into actually 3 categories. There's some RAM on side of the modem, there's RAM on the application processor, and then a separate flash chip. Whereas on the Blue phone, much simpler 4G design, again, not quite a fair comparison, but we're trying to show the distinction between 2 different product marketing. You will see a Blue 5G later in the year, so that might be even more interesting to compare. But from the memory aspect, you have a processor and modem all combined in one chip in this example, and then the memory being also consolidated together. So you get a visualization of a quick visualization on the site of comparing one or looking at one product in detail or 2, but you don't quite get the overall view of the market. You can come in here and in our compare view and also see the difference between the iPhone, which is on top here, and the G90 of how the ASP for the different manufacturers are broken down, similar to what Romaine's shown earlier for 2 or multiple products. So this type of data is what is captured there. And I want to say it sort of sits with the way we've been doing this for years. We have made sure not to copy, manipulate, extract, and change. The data in the monitors is pulled exactly from this database, and it's not massaged at all. So you can rely on it, and that's one of the important things for looking at supply chain. Is if you have some questions about some data, you can dig into the teardown and actually go look what is meant by that. There are some things that are hidden in the monitor that will come out here a little closer. And one of those things is we are showing all the semiconductors and packages and everything that's inside of the part, but you may not see where it is. For example, if you're going through this teardown of the G90, and you look through it, you see the power management section, much smaller, less parts, front end, similar, actually larger, but that's because a lot of these modules over here are more advanced. The Skyworks, Qorvo, and Qualcomm modules are much more complex than the modules used over here in the Blue 90. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. You can also see the breakdown of the memory. But if we go to the G90 teardown, what you'll find is that the SpecTech memory is made up of a number of die, 9 die. So one package has 9 die, 4 of them of type 1 from Micron, which is the SDRAM, another 4 for the flash, and then a flash controller. So in the monitor, you would see this as one component. You'd also see all the silicon area, but if you're looking at saying, where is all that silicon? Where is Micron? I don't see it anywhere. It's because it's inside of the actual teardown of the component, and that is extracted up to the higher level in the monitor, so you see all this silicon. So it's confirmation and finding out where some of the components are used. Another example of that would be if I go to the Apple product. And I look at first their connectivity module. You'll see it as a USI module, but what's inside of that module are Avago, Broadcom connectivity chip, and a couple Sony switches and some filters. So you'll see again all that silicon pop up to the top, but if you're looking at the phone and stuff, you may not see it because it's embedded in something called a USI module. So it's visual confirmation and details about the die that you get from the teardown site. The last example of that would be looking at something like the main camera. Here it's listed as unidentified, but within that camera you have a sensor and you actually have a controller chip. And here you see it's a Cirrus Logic controller chip, which again will show up in the monitor as Silicon Win for them in the monitor, but you wouldn't see it on the board. You wouldn't see it looking at the components. You see it here in the teardown of this camera. Lastly, the other thing you get for a supply chain view of looking at this, the details instead of looking at the overall view, is you don't necessarily, if something's called the same thing or has a similar name, you tend to think it's a similar density, similar cost, and so on. But when you look into the details of it, like if we go to the RF section and look at one of these Skyworks parts, here you see it's a very dense module that has components on the back side, components on the top, and we show you both of those, and then we'll show you each of the die photos. And this is a very, very complex, as you can see, very dense module that's taken advantage of basically a 3D type package because you have the die at the bottom and the die at the top. Contrasting that to the multi-band module in the G90, the main power amplifier module. First of all, you can see side by side the specification, what's inside of it. But now you have a clearer picture. Wow, this one's much higher density, double-sided, whereas this Lanczos found in the G90 is a simpler design, very well spread out, less dense, less complex, very simplistic in comparison. Other things, the other advantage of coming in and looking at the details of a teardown would be there are components that we can't identify sometimes. And our customers in specific areas may have more knowledge than we do, and they could look at these images and identify specific manufacturers or functions of the chip. So we would deeply appreciate it for all you semiconductor and component manufacturers out there if you would clearly mark the tops of your packages up here with the manufacturer name, the part number, and its function. That would be great. And if you do the same thing on the die, that would even be more wonderful. In this mode, the Lanczos, they actually tell you the high band, mid band, and low band die, but that's about it. So the two tools work hand in hand. For a long time, we were just able to give you the technical details, but now we're able to give you not only the technical details, but also the broad strategic look at the market. But that broad strategic look, unlike most of the data you see elsewhere, is based solely on teardowns and solid data extracted from these teardowns. So thanks for your time, and I think we will head into a question and answer session.
Thank you, Jim, for this interesting presentation. And yes, indeed, we are going to conclude this webcast with the Q&A session. So we have received some questions that we are going to answer now. The first question for Romain. Does the country Does the country you refer to correspond to the country of manufacturing?
Thanks for the question. So the country we are using in the teardown and the monitor, as I mentioned during the presentation, is the country of the headquarters of the company. So it's not the country of manufacturing. Which means that, for example, we refer for Qualcomm as a US-based company, even if most of the content could be made by TSMC, for example, in Taiwan. But it's another level of complexity to being able to track the country of manufacturing. So here the country refer to the country of the headquarters of the company.
Okay, thank you. And I think a second one, how are you able to calculate the total area per smartphone? Is it based on survey or real measurements?
Yeah, I think the presentation Jim just realized on our website explain directly this question. So we are really measuring every die in the phones, not only for the phones we are using for the monitor, for all of the smartphones we are analyzing for the teardown. We are extracting, we are decapping all of the package, taking pictures of the dies and measuring the real die size, and analyzing also the technology used by the die. So it's really based on the real measurement for this analysis.
Okay, thank you. Now a question for Jim. How do you decide what products to tear down and what products are included in the monitor?
Okay, so for the products to tear down, from day one, we were committed to showing all new chipsets. That was sort of the key driver, thinking that if we show you the key chipsets, that any of the supporting parts like connectivity, miscellaneous power management, some audio stuff would follow. But later as we went on, we added on to that to not just be any new chipset, but it's the flagship phones from the top 10 manufacturers, and we expanded every new chipset to be any new technology. So we were committed to give you each year a sample of new chipsets and any new technology introduced in the consumer products. For the monitor, I'm going to let Romain answer that one.
Sure. Yeah, for the monitor, we have to take a limited number of products to analyze it. So we decided to use 32 phones to build this product. And here we are taking into account as you mentioned, the chipset, because we don't want to have all the smartphones sharing the same chipset. Clearly, we like to have all of the company represented, so it could be US-based, Chinese-based companies, Japanese-based, in order to have a full understanding about the evolution and a good representation. So we use usually the market share, so the shipment units in front of that. And if a player is having, for example, 20% market share, so like Samsung, for example, will try to analyze at least 20% of phones from this player in order to really be able to have some representative numbers at the end.
Okay, thank you. Last question for Jim. What are the two most significant trends that have been identified recently?
I think the two most key differentiators or key trends that we've been noticing, and it hasn't floated down to the lower tier phones yet, but stacked PC boards. Again, this 3D type packaging of not only components like I showed you on the RF component earlier, but actually the PC boards in the phone for these higher tier phones are multiple boards separated with an interposer and boards stacked on top, sometimes with components on both sides of boards, sometimes just one side of the stack board. But it's very interesting to see how the density is increasing, the form factor. It's actually, if you look at the size of the board in the phone, it's probably going down, even though the complexity in silicon and package area is going up because of the advanced packaging techniques. It's probably the biggest thing. 5G, of course, over the last couple of years now has taken off, and we'll see more and more of that going forward.
Okay, thank you for your answer. The webcast is now ending. Thank you, Romain and Jim, for your time and analysis. To everyone, you will receive soon an email with the link to the recorded session within 24 hours. But please note that the presentation is already available and can be downloaded from the resource section of the platform on the bottom of your screen. Feel free to share the presentation with colleagues or send them the link to access the replay. Let me remind you that you can also find all our reports and monitor on our website, systemplus.fr, and our teardowns on reverse-costing.com. Finally, I would like to share with you a forum organized by Yole Development and the CIOE, our partner, in which System Plus Consulting will be presenting. And you will find more about presentation of Sylvain Alro on consumer lidar teardown and cost review, 3D direct time-of-flight LiDAR from Apple, iPhone, and iPad. So do not hesitate to register to it. It will happen on September 2 afternoon in Shenzhen, China, and it will also be available online for international audience. So click on the link in the slide to find more. Do not hesitate to contact us if you have additional questions. You can find our contact details on this slide. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a good day and take care.
Thank you.